The War Council chamber smelled like burnt ozone and overconfidence. Commander Vrel of the Korthax Dominion stood before the holographic display, his mandibles clicking in what passed for a smirk among his species. Around him, the greatest military minds of seven-star systems waited for his pronouncement. They call themselves humans, Vrel announced, pulling up the tactical readout. Population, 8 billion. Military capability, laughable. Strategic value, minimal. Expected resistance, none. The assembled officers erupted in what could only be described as laughter, though it sounded more like grinding metal and dying engines. General Thrace, a hulking creature from the methane swamps of Designation 4, leaned forward with interest. 8 billion primitives on a single world? Thrace gurgled. This'll be over before lunch. Exactly my assessment, Vrel continued, gesturing at the rotating image of Earth. They have barely left their own moon. Their weapons still use chemical propulsion. Chemical. Can you believe it? They're essentially throwing rocks at each other with extra steps. More laughter echoed through the chamber. Admiral Kess, whose species had conquered 47 worlds, wiped moisture from her optical sensors. Commander, surely this is not worth a full battle fleet. Send a subjugation probe and be done with it. Oh, I intend to make an example of them, Vrel said, his voice dropping to something cold and calculated. The surrounding sectors need to understand what happens when you occupy resources we desire. This little blue marble sits perfectly along our expansion route. The humans? They are simply in the way. He pulled up intercepted communications, and the room fell silent as they listened. The voices were high-pitched, emotional, almost musical. One transmission showed a human female holding a smaller human, both leaking water from their optical organs. They cry, Lieutenant Forge observed with fascination. Their distress response involves liquid secretion. Weak, Vrel declared. Emotional creatures make terrible warriors. They form attachments. They hesitate. They break easily. The War Council nodded in agreement. 3 centuries of expansion had taught them well. Emotional species always fell first. Logic and cold calculation won wars, not feelings and sentiment. We intercepted one more transmission, Vrel said, pulling up a final recording. I saved it because it amused me. The hologram flickered to life, showing a human male in what appeared to be their military uniform. His face was weathered, scarred, and his eyes held something that Vrel could not quite identify. This is Colonel Marcus Webb of the United Earth Defense Force, the human said slowly, deliberately. We have received your ultimatum. We have reviewed your demands. We have analyzed your fleet composition and combat doctrine. Webb paused, and something that might have been a smile crossed his face. It was not a pleasant expression. You want our surrender within 72 hours. You promise swift integration into your dominion. You assure us that resistance is futile and will only result in unnecessary casualties. The human leaned closer to the camera, and now his voice dropped to barely above a whisper. Here is our response. Come and take it. The transmission ended abruptly. The War Council sat in stunned silence for exactly 3 seconds before erupting into hysterical laughter. Even Vrel found himself clicking his mandibles in amusement. Come and take it, Thrace repeated, slapping the table with enough force to dent the metal. Oh, this is precious. The little primitives have developed a sense of humor before developing proper shields. Deploy the fleet, Vrel ordered, still chuckling. Full invasion force. I want this over quickly. We will broadcast their surrender across every inhabited system as a warning to others who think defiance is an option. Sir, his tactical officer interrupted, should we not perform additional reconnaissance? We have limited data on their defensive capabilities. Vrel waved a dismissive appendage. What defensive capabilities? They have satellites held together with hope and chemical rockets that barely break orbit. A single dreadnought could level their largest city in minutes. We are bringing 200 warships. This is not reconnaissance. This is pest control. The fleet assembled in the dark between stars, an armada of destruction that had broken entire civilizations. Vrel watched from his command ship as the vessels arranged themselves in perfect formation. Each one carried enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. Each one had seen 100 battles and never tasted defeat. Coordinates locked, his navigator announced. Preparing jump to Earth system. All ships, Vrel broadcast across the fleet channel. Prepare for immediate invasion upon arrival. Target their population centers first. Break their spirit before they can organize resistance. This will be quick, clean, and educational for everyone watching. The jump drives hum to life, tearing holes in the fabric of space itself. The Korthax Dominion fleet vanished from the outer reaches and materialized in orbit around Earth, perfectly positioned to rain annihilation upon the unsuspecting planet below. Except Earth was not unsuspecting. The moment they emerged from their jump, every sensor on every ship began screaming warnings simultaneously. The orbital space around Earth was not empty. It was not undefended. It was, in fact, absolutely packed with hardware that should not exist. Battle stations. Vrel roared as his tactical display lit up like a festival celebration. What am I looking at? Weapons platforms, sir, his tactical officer stammered. Thousands of them, and they're all targeting us. But sir, these readings cannot be accurate. The power signatures suggest that. The platforms opened fire, and the universe became light and thunder and screaming metal. The first salvo tore through 3 Korthax destroyers like they were constructed from tissue paper and wishful thinking. Vrel watched in absolute horror as ships that had survived centuries of warfare simply ceased to exist, vaporized by weapons that could not, exist on a primitive backwater world. Evasive maneuvers. He screamed into the command channel. Return fire. All batteries. Open fire. The Korthax fleet responded with overwhelming force, launching enough ordnance to sterilize a continent. The weapons streaked toward Earth's defensive platforms with murderous intent. Vrel allowed himself a moment of hope. Perhaps the humans had stolen advanced technology. Perhaps they had gotten lucky with that first strike. Perhaps this was still salvageable. Then the point defense systems activated, and hope died screaming. Every single missile, every plasma bolt, every kinetic round was intercepted and destroyed before reaching its target. The precision was impossible. The reaction time was faster than physics should allow. And the counterattack was immediate and absolutely merciless. Jump out. Thrace bellowed from his flagship. Emergency jump now. Jump drives are not responding. Someone screamed back. They are being jammed. How are they jamming our jump drives? Vrel's ship shuddered as something massive struck the shields. The lights flickered, alarms wailed, and his crew scrambled to stations with barely controlled panic. On his tactical display, ship icons were winking out of existence at a terrifying rate. Incoming transmission from the surface, his communications officer announced, voice shaking. Audio only. Sir, I think you should hear this. Put it through, Vrel ordered, though his mandibles trembled. Colonel Marcus Webb's voice filled the command deck, calm and conversational, like he was discussing the weather instead of orchestrating the systematic destruction of an invasion fleet. Hello up there, Webb said, and Vrel could hear the smile in his voice. This is Colonel Webb again. I hope you're enjoying your stay in Earth orbit. I wanted to take a moment to address some misconceptions you might have about humanity. Another 3 ships exploded on the tactical display. Admiral Kessa's flagship was spinning out of control, atmosphere venting from a dozen hull breaches. You assumed we were primitive because we use chemical rockets, Webb continued. That was your first mistake. Those are for civilian use. You know, satellites, space stations, the occasional billionaire joyride. We keep the good stuff hidden. The orbital platforms shifted formation, and suddenly the Korthax fleet was boxed in, surrounded by weapons that should not exist. Vrel tried to comprehend the tactical situation and failed utterly. You assumed we were weak because we show emotion, Webb went on. That was your second mistake. Yes, we cry. We also laugh. We love. We hope. We dream. And when someone threatens our home, when someone tries to harm our families, when someone tells us resistance is futile. A pause, heavy with meaning. We get angry. And you really should not have made us angry. The weapons platforms opened fire again, and this time they were not aiming to destroy. They were aiming to cripple. Ships that tried to flee found their engines melted. Ships that tried to fight had their weapons surgically removed. The Kalvoth Dominion, conqueror of 7-star systems, was being systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitives. You wanted to know our defensive capabilities? Webb said, his voice harder now. Allow me to educate you. Those platforms you see, we built them in 6 months. When we intercepted your initial scout probe 3 years ago, we knew you were coming. We prepared. Humanity has a saying, Commander Vrel, we do not rise to the occasion, we fall to the level of our preparation. And we have prepared very thoroughly. Vrel's ship rocked again as something impacted the hull directly. He could hear the crew screaming, smell the acrid smoke of failing systems, feel the deck plates buckling beneath his feet. Perhaps you are wondering how primitives developed such advanced technology so quickly. Webb continued, his tone almost conversational again. Here is the thing about humans, Commander. We are very good at learning. We are even better at improvising. And we are absolutely exceptional at reverse engineering alien technology. Thank you for that scout probe, by the way. Very illuminating. The tactical display showed only 47 ships remaining from the original 200. 47 ships that were trapped, crippled, and completely at the mercy of a species they had planned to subjugate before lunch. Now, you have a choice, Webb said, and his voice had gone cold as the void itself. You can surrender. We will accept your ships, your technology, and your crew as prisoners of war. You will be treated according to the Geneva Conventions, which I suspect is far better than you would have treated us. Or you can continue fighting, and we will reduce your fleet to its component atoms. You have 60 seconds to decide. Vrel looked around his command deck. Officers who had laughed at humanity's defiance now stared at him with fear in their eyes. Thrace was dead, his flagship an expanding cloud of debris. Kess was unconscious, her ship venting atmosphere. The mighty Kalvoth Dominion had been reduced to begging for mercy from creatures they had dismissed as emotional weaklings. We surrender, Vrel transmitted, the words tasting like ash and failure. We surrender unconditionally. Smart choice, Webb replied. Prepare to be boarded. And Commander? One more thing. What? Vrel asked, defeated and broken. The surrounding sectors you wanted to make an example for? They are watching. We made sure of it. Every species you have bullied, every world you have conquered, every civilization you have crushed under your boot, they are all receiving this transmission right now. Consider this your educational moment. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not break. And humanity really does not appreciate threats. The transmission ended with a click that sounded like a death sentence for the Kalvoth Dominion. Within hours, rebellions would spark across their conquered territories. Within days, their empire would begin to crumble. Within weeks, humanity would be offering alliance and protection to those same species that Vrel had planned to use as object lessons. As human boarding craft approached his crippled vessel, Vrel understood the final, terrible truth. The humans had not simply defended their world. They had not simply repelled an invasion. They had orchestrated the complete and total destruction of everything the Kalvoth Dominion had built over 3 centuries of conquest, and they had done it with a 72-hour warning and a 3-word response. Come and take it, indeed. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.